The Bionic Woman, 1976 to 1978, was a groundbreaking sci-fi series that captivated audiences with its mix of action, heart, and futuristic adventure. Starring Lindsay Wagner as Jaime Sommers, a woman rebuilt with extraordinary bionic powers, the show became a symbol of female strength and resilience in television history. With thrilling missions, emotional storytelling, and unforgettable characters, The Bionic Woman left an enduring mark on pop culture. But decades later, fans still wonder what became of the talented cast who brought this classic to life. In this video, we'll explore where the stars are now and what they're doing in 2025. Lindsay Wagner was born on June 22, 1949, in Los Angeles, California, and played Jaime Sommers in The Bionic Woman in 1976 at age 27. Her portrayal of the schoolteacher turned cybernetic agent was both groundbreaking and deeply human. She embodied compassion within the frame of a near-superhuman, blending strength and vulnerability like few television heroines before her. But behind that, Grace, Wagner's real life was far messier. Her childhood was scarred by her parents' divorce and a series of stepfathers she described as emotionally distant. She suffered from dyslexia, anxiety, and chronic insecurity, hiding behind her beauty while struggling to read lines on set. In Hollywood, her calm exterior concealed an inner turmoil fueled by failed marriages and the haunting pressure to remain eternally youthful. She was married 4 times to a music publisher, an actor, a stuntman, and finally a film producer. But none lasted, often ending in bitter separations and financial loss. Her career stumbled in the 1980s after a string of forgettable TV movies, one of which, Callie and Son, 1981, was so critically panned it almost ended her career. Wagner reportedly clashed with directors over creative control and gained a reputation for being too intense and spiritually eccentric. Later, she reinvented herself as a wellness author and spiritual teacher, promoting alternative healing and dream therapy ventures mocked by some as Hollywood mysticism. Yet her genuine kindness and quiet rebellion against fame gave her an enduring fan base. Now at 76, she lives in Oregon practicing holistic therapy writing and occasionally appearing at fan conventions. Her net worth, estimated at $15 million, stems from acting royalties, real estate, and wellness seminars. She remains one of Hollywood's most enigmatic survivors, a woman who turned personal chaos into spiritual calm. Martin E. Brooks, born Martin Baum on November 30, 1925, in the Bronx, New York, brought life to Dr. Rudy Wells in The Bionic Woman, starting in 1976 at age 50. His portrayal of the calm, cerebral scientist responsible for the bionic technology added gravitas and intellect to the series, making him the moral compass amid the chaos of science and secrecy. Yet Brooks's own life was as complex as his character's ethics. Born into a poor Jewish family during the Great Depression, he joined the U.S. Army as a teenager, parachuting into war-torn Europe during World War II. A trauma that haunted him for decades. After returning home, he studied under Lee Strasberg and became a respected Broadway actor. But his transition to television was fraught with frustration. He detested Hollywood superficiality, often clashing with producers and walking off sets he deemed artistically dishonest. In the 1970s, he was unfairly labeled difficult after refusing to sign a multi-year contract that would have typecast him as a background scientist. The biggest blow came when he was replaced in a major series revival due to his advanced age, a move that left him bitter. Despite his brilliance, he was deeply private, living alone with few close friends, and was rumored to have quietly supported struggling actors financially. Brooks never married and had no children, fueling speculation about a lifelong solitude he never discussed publicly. His later years were spent writing and painting in Studio City, California, where he avoided publicity entirely. He died on December 7, 2015, at age 90 from natural causes, his ashes scattered at sea. Though his estate was modest, estimated between $1 and $2 million, it reflected a man who lived for art, not money. In death, Brooks remains a ghostly legend, the mind behind the Bionics who built fiction's machines while dismantling his own walls of pain. Richard Anderson was born on August 8, 1926, in Long Branch, New Jersey, and took on the role of Oscar Goldman in The Bionic Woman in 1976, at age 50. His character, a government official with a fatherly demeanor and quiet authority, became synonymous with the era's fascination with secret intelligence and technology. Behind his controlled screen presence, however, Anderson's life was defined by solitude and subtle scandal. Raised by a struggling single mother during the Great Depression, he learned early to project charm as a form of defense. His early Hollywood years were marked by rejection and whispers of affairs with older actresses who helped him secure roles, a common rumor he never denied. Though he built a respected career with over 150 screen credits, Anderson was plagued by insecurity about being typecast as the quiet executive. His most painful professional failure came after The Bionic Woman ended. He was passed over for a major film adaptation of the $6 Million Man franchise, a role he believed he'd earned. Colleagues described him as perfectionist to the point of paranoia, known for rewriting his lines and clashing with producers over dialogue. His personal life offered no peace: 2 failed marriages, one marred by infidelity accusations, and another ending in a bitter custody battle over his daughter. In his later years, Anderson withdrew from public life, refusing interviews and avoiding conventions, preferring instead to restore vintage cars and live quietly in Los Angeles. When he died on August 31, 2017, at age 91, from natural causes, he left behind a modest fortune of about $5 million, including his collection of classic vehicles and a Beverly Hills property. His death closed the chapter on a man who seemed to master control in every sense except over his own loneliness. Jennifer Darling, born on June 19, 1946, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, was 30 when she first appeared as Peggy Callahan in The Bionic Woman, the witty and loyal secretary to Oscar Goldman, whose intelligence and humor softened the show's tone. Her portrayal made her a fan favorite, but her personal life was riddled with contradictions. Raised in a blue-collar family where art was seen as frivolous, she was bullied in school for her lisp and bookish nature, forcing her to cultivate an exaggeratedly cheerful personality that later became her on-screen signature. Behind the smiles, she battled chronic insecurity. After moving to Los Angeles in her early 20s, she struggled to find work and often lived on borrowed money, briefly waitressing at night while auditioning by day. Landing The Bionic Woman was her breakthrough, but Hollywood quickly pigeonholed her as the cute sidekick, a label that frustrated her ambitions. Known among peers for her outspoken temper and perfectionism, she clashed with producers who dismissed her creative suggestions. Her brief marriage to actor Paul Itkin ended in chaos, rumors of jealousy, emotional manipulation, and a mysterious restraining order swirled through Hollywood gossip columns. In the 1980s, she turned to voice acting, where her extraordinary range revitalized her career. Yet her obsessive attention to sound quality and unwillingness to compromise made her a difficult collaborator. Privately, she struggled with anxiety and mild agoraphobia, retreating into a quiet, reclusive life after the 2000s. Despite her guarded nature, she quietly amassed wealth through consistent union residuals from animation and syndication. Now 79, she lives privately in California. Unmarried and childless, surrounded by art cats and scripts she still edits for pleasure. Her net worth is estimated at around $5 million, a fortune earned through persistence, not glamour. Her story is that of a woman who, beneath the laughter and warmth, built an empire out of silence and sheer will. Martha Scott, born on September 22, 1912 in Jamesport, Missouri, was 64 when she played Helen Elgin, the nurturing mother figure in The Bionic Woman. On screen, she exuded elegance and compassion, a symbol of maternal wisdom in a world of technology and espionage. But, off-camera, Scott's life was anything but serene. The daughter of a struggling theater owner, she grew up in a household haunted by financial ruin and emotional repression. Her father discouraged her acting ambitions, believing the stage was immoral for women. She defied him, earning a degree in drama and fleeing to New York with just a suitcase and $20. Her career took off after her Oscar-nominated performance in Our Town 1940, but fame came with hidden costs. She faced constant pressure to maintain her youthful image and was once replaced in a film after refusing cosmetic surgery, a humiliation that left her deeply bitter. Her marriage to jazz pianist Mel Powell was passionate but turbulent. His long absences on tour and alleged infidelities drove her into depressive episodes. She was known to be controlling and perfectionist, often rewriting her co-star's dialogue during rehearsals. Despite her poise, she secretly battled anxiety and insomnia for decades, depending on sleeping pills to maintain her composure in public. Financially, she suffered a devastating loss in the 1950s after a failed theater venture bankrupted her, briefly forcing her to sell her New York townhouse. Yet she clawed her way back, rebuilding her reputation in television and stage work through sheer resilience. In her later years, she became reclusive, rarely giving interviews and living quietly in Van Nuys, California. She died there on May 28, 2003, at the age of 90, from natural causes. Her estate, consisting of her Beverly Hills property jewelry and royalties from classic films, was valued at roughly $5 million. Her legacy is that of a perfectionist and survivor, a woman who turned pain into poise and who carried the grace of tragedy as if it were her most elegant costume. Christopher Stone was born on October 4, 1940, in Manchester, New Hampshire, and joined The Bionic Woman in 1976, at the age of 36, as Chris Williams, a gentle and grounded romantic counterpart to Jaime Summers. His character represented the warmth and stability Jaime desperately sought amid her mechanical identity, and his chemistry with Lindsay Wagner brought emotional gravity to the series. Off-screen, Stone's intensity made him both magnetic and difficult. He was deeply private, often vanishing from sets between takes, rumored to struggle with anxiety and trust issues stemming from a turbulent childhood with an abusive father. Before fame, he lived out of his car while auditioning a humiliation that left lasting scars. Despite a respectable career in television and film, appearing in Cujo the Howling and Dallas Stone was perpetually overshadowed by his wife actress Dee Wallace. Industry insiders whispered that he resented her higher profile, leading to friction behind closed doors. He was known for emotional volatility, reportedly storming off set during disagreements and battling short-lived bouts of alcohol abuse. His biggest professional failure came when his pilot for a supernatural detective series was canceled after just one episode, plunging him into depression. Though he eventually stabilized his life through family and spiritual exploration, tragedy struck when he died suddenly of a heart attack on October 20, 1995, at just 55. He passed away at home in Los Angeles, leaving behind a wife, daughter, and an estate valued at roughly $1.5 million. His quiet funeral drew fellow horror and sci-fi actors who described him as a man who carried both brilliance and sorrow. Today, Stone's legacy lives through the films that blurred his tenderness and torment the two sides of a performer who never fully escaped himself. Lee Majors was born on April 23, 1939, in Wyandotte, Michigan, and took on the role of Colonel Steve Austin in crossover episodes of The Bionic Woman in 1976 at the age of 37. His character was the embodiment of masculine stoicism and silent vulnerability, a man rebuilt from catastrophe both physically and emotionally. Yet behind the lens, Major's real life mirrored that of a man constantly reconstructing himself after heartbreak and downfall. He lost both parents before the age of 2, was raised by relatives in Kentucky, and grew up battling feelings of abandonment that shaped his rugged persona. His early career nearly ended when a severe football injury destroyed his athletic dreams, pushing him toward acting out of desperation. Majors found fame as the $6 Million Man, but success came with isolation. He was rumored to be controlling and difficult on set, often clashing with directors over creative control. His marriage to Farrah Fawcett became one of Hollywood's most photographed but most fractured unions, torn apart by jealousy, infidelity, and the relentless spotlight. Majors later admitted he was haunted by watching Fawcett's superstardom eclipse his own, leading to years of quiet resentment. Though he maintained a career with the Fall Guy, he was plagued by depression and alcoholism rumors, and his decision to turn down Midnight Cowboy became a regret he could never escape. Now, 86 Majors lives a reclusive life between California and Texas, with an estimated net worth between $18 and $26 million. His assets include real estate holdings, residuals from his iconic shows, and memorabilia he has refused to auction despite lucrative offers. A survivor of fame's brutality, he remains one of television's last true enigmas, part hero, part ghost of a vanished era. Rene Assa, born November 15, 1944 in Cairo. Egypt was 32 when he portrayed the attendant in The Bionic Woman in 1976, bringing a mysterious, almost unsettling aura to his brief role. In real life, Assa's journey was anything but ordinary. A Jewish Egyptian refugee who fled political persecution, he grew up amid instability, moving between continents with his family. As a child, he endured relentless bullying for his accent and dark features, and this sense of otherness became the foundation of his later screen presence. When he arrived in Hollywood, he was pigeonholed into foreign or villainous roles, something he both exploited and resented. He spoke 6 languages, often rewriting his own lines to sound more authentic, which angered some directors but impressed others. Behind his charm was a restless man with a volatile temper and a self-destructive streak. Known for his romantic affairs, he had a notorious relationship with a married European actress that almost ended his career when her husband, a powerful producer, blacklisted him temporarily. His greatest professional disappointment came in 1980 when he lost a major role in Raiders of the Lost Ark Days. Before filming began, reportedly due to creative differences, a euphemism for his fiery confrontation with the casting director. The loss sent him into depression and heavy drinking, which he battled privately for years. Despite this, he kept working steadily, appearing in Knight Rider, Magnum P.I. and Baywatch. As his health declined from years of smoking, he began teaching acting in Los Angeles, mentoring young immigrants who shared his struggles. He died on March 10, 2002 in Los Angeles at 57 from lung cancer. His estate was modest, worth about $800,000, consisting mostly of a small home and personal film memorabilia. Though largely forgotten by the mainstream among those who knew him, Rene Assa remains a symbol of both talent and tragedy, a man consumed by the very industry he loved. Henry Kingi, born December 2, 1943 in Los Angeles, was 34 when he played the Inca warrior in The Bionic Woman in 1978, a role that showcased his raw athleticism and intensity. Though his appearance was brief, it encapsulated everything about Kingi's identity, a man of extraordinary physical prowess who never received full credit. Behind the camera, He was a pioneering stuntman who had to fight for every opportunity in an industry that typecast and excluded non-white performers. Of Native American, African American, Japanese, and European descent, Kingi grew up in a violent Los Angeles neighborhood where he was bullied for his mixed heritage. He channeled his anger into martial arts and racing, which led him into Hollywood's stunt circuit. Co-founding the Black Stuntmen's Association in the 1970s, he became a controversial but respected figure who exposed racial discrimination in casting and stunt doubling. His personal life was equally turbulent. His marriage to Lindsay Wagner, the show's star, was marked by passion and constant tension, and their 1984 divorce was fueled by professional jealousy and rumors of infidelity. Known for being fearless to the point of recklessness, Kingi once broke 3 ribs while performing a dangerous car flip for Lethal Weapon 2, but refused medical attention to finish the shoot. This relentless drive made him a legend, but cost him countless injuries and emotional strain. His biggest setback came when a major studio refused to credit his work in a blockbuster, igniting a quiet legal battle that ended in settlement. Now, 81 Kingi lives in California, with his stuntman sons still consulting for action films. His fortune, roughly $5 million, was earned through decades of risking his life for cinematic glory. Despite being respected, he remains an enigmatic figure, admired, feared, and largely unsung for his contributions to Hollywood's most dangerous craft. Don Porter was born on September 24, 1912, in Miami, Oklahoma, and took on the role of Dr. James Courtney in The Bionic Woman in 1976, when he was 64 years old. On screen, his character was intelligent, poised, and deeply moral, a figure that guided others with quiet authority. Off-screen, however, Porter's life was marked by a complex web of discipline, ambition, and personal demons. He came from a humble background and lied about his age to enlist in the National Guard at 14, later serving as a combat photographer in Wabitudu, a period that left him emotionally scarred and distrustful of people. Those experiences shaped his meticulous perfectionist behavior as an actor. Though he appeared refined, many who worked with him recalled his sharp temper and his disdain for directors he deemed incompetent. He was once blacklisted briefly in the 1950s for suspected communist sympathies, which nearly destroyed his stage career. His biggest professional disappointment came when Private Secretary, the sitcom that had made him famous, was canceled abruptly, leaving him feeling betrayed by an industry he had served faithfully. Privately, his marriage to actress Peggy Converse lasted decades, but was strained by emotional detachment and his obsession with work. Rumors of quiet infidelities persisted, though never confirmed. In later years, Porter became reclusive, focusing on property investments rather than acting. When he died on February 11, 1997, at 84 in Beverly Hills, it was from natural causes alone in his study, surrounded by old scripts and war memorabilia. His estate was valued between $7 and $10 million, built from decades of careful saving and shrewd real estate purchases. His funeral was private, attended by few, marking the end of a man whose quiet brilliance was matched only by his guarded loneliness. Christian Uttner was born on May 20, 1964, in Pomona, California, and appeared in The Bionic Woman in 1976 as Teddy, one of Jaime Somers's curious young students at only 12 years old. On screen, Teddy represented innocence and optimism, but behind that cherubic smile was a child actor thrust too early into an industry that devoured youth. Raised in a working-class family with little stability, Uttner's parents reportedly pushed him into acting to escape financial hardship. He endured long shooting schedules and strict studio contracts, often missing school and friendships. Though he appeared in major projects like Return from Witch Mountain and The Swarm, his teenage years were clouded by rejection and typecasting. When roles dried up, He was quietly dropped by his agent at 16, a moment he later described as the day he stopped believing in Hollywood. Juttner turned his back on acting, living off modest savings before disappearing from public life entirely. Rumors swirled that he battled depression and an addiction to prescription pills in his 20s, though friends insisted he overcame both through therapy and creative work. Reinventing himself as a craftsman, he opened a small glassworks business in California that catered to boutique hotels and private collectors. Despite a calm exterior, Juttner never married and lived alone, devoting himself to his art. His death on November 29, 2024, at age 60 from natural causes, came as a quiet shock to former co-stars who remembered his sensitivity and quiet humor. At the time of his passing, his estate valued around $750,000 included savings business assets and a collection of hand-blown glass pieces he refused to commercialize. To fans, he remains the boy who never lost his innocence, even as the world around him did. Ford Rainey, born on August 8, 1908 in Mountain Home, Idaho, was 68 when he portrayed Jim Elgin, the kind, steady stepfather of Jaime Summers, in The Bionic Woman, 1976. His character radiated warmth and integrity, grounding the futuristic chaos of the show with small-town decency and emotional depth, which made audiences instantly trust him. Yet off-screen, Rainey's life was carved from hardship and restlessness. Growing up in a financially struggling family during the Great Depression, he left home young to work as a logger fisherman and itinerant laborer before serving in the Coast Guard during World War II. His early years were marked by silence and emotional detachment traits, born from a father who rarely spoke and a mother who died when he was still a boy. Acting became his escape, but even after moving to Los Angeles, he endured years of rejection, sleeping in his car while taking minor theater jobs. Behind his calm demeanor, colleagues whispered of his temper and perfectionism. He once stormed off a set after accusing a director of killing art for television. He was known to isolate himself during shoots, eating alone, and obsessively rewriting his lines. Alcohol became his quiet vice, though he eventually quit in his 50s after a public outburst during a studio party nearly ended his career. By the 1970s, he found stability in steady television work, yet never achieved leading man fame, which reportedly left him bitter. Later in life, a series of strokes confined him to his Ojai home, where he spent his final years painting and gardening in near solitude. He died on July 25, 2005, at the age of 96 from complications of multiple strokes. His estate, a mixture of property, modest royalties, and a small art collection, was valued around $1.7 million. He left behind no great fortune, but a legacy of resilience, an actor who lived his life in the shadows of Hollywood's glare, quietly embodying the men he wished he could be. Jack Kelly was born on September 16, 1927, in Astoria, New York, and joined The Bionic Woman in 1976 at age 49, portraying Charles Keyes, a commanding, mysterious figure who carried an air of moral ambiguity. Fans loved his sharp delivery and the quiet authority that made his scenes unforgettable. Behind the camera, however, Kelly was a man driven by contradictions. Born into a modest family, he began acting as a child to help support his parents during the Depression. And that early pressure forged both his discipline and his arrogance. By the time he became a household name as Bart Maverick in the iconic Western Maverick, he had already developed a reputation for being brash and uncooperative. Insiders recalled his fondness for gambling and whiskey, which often made him unpredictable on set. His greatest professional disaster came in the early 1960s when he was cast in a big-budget Western that collapsed mid-production, leaving him bankrupt and humiliated. Though he reinvented himself with guest appearances on series like The Bionic Woman, the shadow of Maverick followed him. He was forever trapped by the character that made him famous. His personal life mirrored his tumultuous career. His first marriage dissolved amid allegations of infidelity and neglect. His second, to actress Donna Kelly, was more stable, but marred by rumors of emotional distance. Away from Hollywood, Kelly pursued politics, serving as mayor of Huntington Beach, California, from 1983 to 1986, a surprising turn that revealed both his charm and his hunger for control. Yet he struggled with declining health and financial strain in his final years, quietly suffering a stroke that ended his life on November 7, 1992, in Huntington Beach at the age of 65. His estate, valued at around $2 million, consisted mainly of real estate and residuals from reruns. Though remembered as a man of swagger and contradictions, Kelly's story remains a classic Hollywood tragedy. A star who burned brightly, gambled everything, and died chasing one last reinvention. Robbie Rist was born on April 4, 1964, in La Mirada, California, and joined the Bionic Woman in 1976 at the age of 12, playing Andrew, a bright, quick-witted boy who brought a sense of warmth and humor to the show's futuristic themes. His character was adored for his intelligence and mischief, often bridging the emotional gap between human vulnerability and the cold precision of bionic technology. But off-screen Rist's early fame came at a heavy psychological cost. Born into a family struggling financially, Robbie's parents pushed him into acting as a means to escape poverty. He was bullied in school for being the TV kid, mocked for his chubby face and earnestness. By his teens, Rist grew resentful of fame, struggling with depression and body image issues. The industry, which had once embraced him as Hollywood's favorite boy next door, quickly turned its back. After the Brady Bunch's cousin Oliver role became a symbol of a show's decline, Rist was unofficially blacklisted by casting agents, a stigma he later referred to bitterly as the Oliver curse. His greatest career setback came in the 1980s, when he lost a leading film role after clashing with producers over creative direction, which spiraled into years of obscurity. A self-proclaimed industry survivor, Rist reinvented himself through voice acting, most famously voicing Michelangelo in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. Yet even in adulthood, he developed a reputation for being outspoken. His profanity-laced rants about Hollywood exploitation on social media gained both cult admiration and backlash. Never married and without children, at 61, Rist lives modestly in Los Angeles, spending his time producing music and appearing at fan conventions. His net worth, estimated at $300,000, is modest for someone with such a long career, but Rist himself has said, "Money was never the dream, freedom was." His legacy remains that of a rebel child star who refused to let the system break him no matter how hard it tried. Thank you for joining us on this nostalgic journey through classic television history. If you enjoyed learning about the cast of The Bionic Woman and where they are now, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more vintage Hollywood retrospectives, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your memories and suggestions, so let us know which TV show or movie cast you'd like us to feature next.